package hissed when I opened it, like something breathing through cloth. It wasn't addressed from anyone I knew, just a name, mine, and a smudged return label that had dissolved in some unknown moisture. The wrapping was linen, coarse and off-white, like something torn from an altar or shroud. It clung to the box like skin, damp. I didn't open it right away. I left it on the counter beside the sink in my rust-flecked kitchen, as though ignoring it might also ignore the sound that had come with it. A low humming in the walls that hadn't stopped since it arrived. My name is Harold Bennick. I was once a radio engineer for a forgotten AM station on the outskirts of Columbia, South Carolina. Tower number WZBR 1080. Weird gospel in the mornings, local news in the evenings, and little else but old vinyl hymns and preacher calls in between. I lived alone. After reading the journal, after hearing what came from it, I never lived the same again. It started with a frequency, barely audible, but there. A whisper inside static. I was recalibrating the receiver at the tower's base after a lightning strike had cracked our repeater. Rain soaked the field, and each drop striking the metal dish gave off a peculiar echo, like tapping bone with a spoon. And then came the voice. Not speech exactly, more rhythm than meaning, like breath being forced through broken teeth. Then silence. I'm trapped in the wires. Just once. At 2:41 a.m. exactly. I assumed it was interference from storm debris or rogue CB chatter from some drifter. But the message returned. Every night. Same time. 2:41 a.m. Always the same rasping voice, like a throat full of gravel, dissolving into static. I'm trapped in the wires. On the fourth night, the voice said something new. That was when I unwrapped the package. The linen stuck to the box like it didn't want to let go. Inside, a black leather-bound journal, swollen with damp. No title, no date. The pages crackled like firelit leaves. The handwriting was tight, hunched, written in pencil and smudged where fingers must have trembled or sweated too much. He lives between the frequencies, in the static. I thought it was Morse code at first, some emergency call on forgotten channel, but it wasn't. It's him. He's watching us through the wires. Page after page described something that wasn't a man anymore. A shape that moved inside signal currents. No eyes. Just sockets weeping soot. It rode telephone lines, nested in copper, flickered through snowy screens. The author left no name. Just call letters. WZBR. My station. A week after the journal arrived, the fog came. It clung like wet wool. My headlights became useless against it. Pale beams swallowed whole. The radio tower loomed above me, blinking its red eye slowly, steadily. Inside the station, something smelled wrong. Not rot, not mildew. Something metallic and faintly electric, like burned dust inside an old speaker. I ran the diagnostics, nothing unusual. Signal strength optimal, the repeater intact. But the hum, the low frequency drone, had grown louder. Less a sound than a pressure, like being under deep water. Clock blinked. 2:41 a.m. The air thinned, grew colder. A wrong cold. Not the absence of heat, but the presence of something else. It had weight, texture, like wet insulation brushing bare skin. Then, just below hearing, a whisper. Don't look at the wires. I stayed awake for 3 days. Didn't return to the station. I boarded the windows, unplugged every device, disconnected every wire I could find. But I still heard it. Not from radios anymore. From the walls. A buzzing. Constant and high. I tore the coaxial cable from my living room wall. Behind it, the insulation pulsed. No bugs, no mold, just movement. The landline rang once. Just once. I didn't answer, but I lifted the receiver after it stopped ringing. I had to. Static. Then, static man. Static man. Static man. The words dissolved, one after another, until only white noise remained. Not silence, never silence, but a hiss that somehow carried meaning. I checked the journal again. Toward the back there were sketches, faint outlines of a tall figure with no face. Just a cavity where a mouth should be. Long fingers trailing wires. One showed it slouched behind a radio, limbs stretching out through the dials. Another showed it clinging to the steel beams of a tower, hunched like a spider. Scrawled beneath it, "He feeds on forgotten signals." I returned to the station. The fog hadn't lifted. It pressed against the windows like breath. Inside, the building had fallen silent. Not the peaceful kind, but the silence you feel in your teeth. Everything was coated in dust, but not gray or white. Black. Sooty. Like ash scraped from behind a burnt fuse. Basement door was locked. I hadn't used it in years, but I found the key behind the breaker panel, just like the journal had described. The stairs were slick, oozing. My hand stuck briefly to the railing, and when I pulled away, black sludge followed. At the bottom, a room lined in copper mesh, wires coiled like nests. A hulking radio set at the center. Too old to be functional. Too wrong to be dead. It glowed. A faint red behind the dial. No electricity. I stepped closer. It spoke. Don't forget me. Something moved below the floor. It didn't crawl, it slithered. It slid. I closed the journal for the last time. There was one final note. Not pencil this time. Ink. Fresh. If he says your name, it's too late. Don't answer. Don't listen. He lives in the static where signals die. If you hear the hum, he's already inside. I tried to burn the book. The fire hissed. The pages bubbled black and the smoke fell, not rose. The soot writhed. I left. Drove until I saw no more towers. Took a room in a motel off Route 9. No radio, no wires, no signal. But the television turned itself on. No image. Just static. Creaking followed. Not outside. Not above. Inside the wall. I write this now by candlelight. The power is gone. The phone is dead. My laptop won't turn on. But I hear him. Under the bed. Inside the vent. Behind the drywall. I'm trapped in the wires. He isn't warning me. He isn't pleading. He's remembering. Or rehearsing. Because I think he's not trapped anymore. I think the wires were just his cocoon. And now he's inside us. The flame flutters. The walls breathe. The sound grows sharper, closer. It sounds like static, with teeth.